My name is Joel, welcome to WTF Performance, and today we're putting all of this in my new 300ZX project car. Let's get to it. Hello, my name is Joel and welcome to the WTF Performance Garage. Today we're working on my new Nissan 300ZX. I went on a little shopping spree to get started. I kind of just wanted to hit everything this thing needed to be like a pretty cool driver. So, first thing I did is I ran to O'Reilly and I just got the necessities. Oil, brakes. You need them. The brakes are crusty. This thing hasn't been driven in years. The engine, who knows the last time I had an oil change. It's got oil in it, but obviously we're gonna go ahead and throw some fresh stuff in it. The next thing I did is I ordered some T-tops. Now these aren't fresh, they are aged very nicely. The rubber seals are coming off, but that we can fix. Broken glass we cannot fix. So one of the T-tops was smashed when we got the car. So I went ahead and ordered a pair of matching ones so we can just slap those on, and then I don't have to have a car cover on it to cover a garbage bag that's duct taped to the roof currently. Next, I got me a big box of stuff. So we're gonna go through this. I also actually picked up from O'Reilly. This is a company I like. I used to work with the rep every once in a while for superior products. So this is all detailing supplies. This is like a sampler kit they have. You can actually go to O'Reilly and order this for probably 20 bucks. But it is 8 different superior products. They're professional detailing products. So some of them you have to dilute. You kind of got to know a little bit about them. But I wanted to start going through. This thing needs a real hefty detail, so I got some of that specifically to test on this car. Next, the main problem with the car is it needs a fuel pump. So I went ahead and ordered that. A lot of this came from Rock Auto, just some cheap parts, nothing fancy. This is kind of cool. The car's mirror on one side is smashed and on the other side it's missing. So I've done this trick before on Miatas, and sometimes it works really well, and sometimes it doesn't work so well. On this car, I have a feeling it might look kind of cool to put some different mirrors on it. So these are kind of knockoff 280Z mirrors or 240Z mirrors, and these would be fender mounted. So I'm gonna see if these look okay. It looks like they might need some paint. They're kind of just black plastic. But if they look nice, we can go ahead and move forward with these. And if those don't look nice, then I could get some standard replacement mirrors for a Z, no problem. But I saw these, and I thought these were really cool. These would just go right on the door, same thing. You could even put these on the fender if you wanted to, but just kind of like a race style mirror. These are pretty cheap eBay parts. And some people don't have the balls to drill holes in a door and mount a new mirror, but it's my favorite part about working on old junk cars. Can't really make them worse. A racing mirror that's kind of cheap is better than a broken mirror. What else we got? A lot of this is just going to be like tune-up parts. Ooh, look at that. License plates. I already got this thing registered, and Illinois, the most expensive place on earth to register a car besides New York and California probably, but oh my god, I'm tired of this state. This thing was $400 this year for an antique plate for not even a normal car to drive. I probably saved $100. Insanity. I hate you, Illinois. I hope you die. Let's see, some wiper blades. Nothing fancy. It's kind of funny when I order wiper blades online, but if I already have an order coming from Rock Auto, I'm like, oh cool, $1 wiper blades. Definitely doing that. New belts. Apparently there's 3. I didn't even look. I just ordered them. This is kind of a highly overlooked thing. If you have hood struts or trunk struts that hold either open, don't just deal with it. I hate that. 20 bucks or 40 bucks, whatever. Just pay the money, put new struts on it, and quit dropping trunk lids on your head. So I got 2 for the hood and 2 for the trunk to get those fixed. Some of this stuff is just cheap, and it's like, again, if you have an order coming already, just get a gas cap. A lot of the little rings on these things go bad, and the gas cap looks fine, but it's no longer sealing. And so it's like $2 for a gas cap, and you're already paying for shipping for other stuff. Just order the gas cap. I found these NGK wires on Rock Auto. They looked kind of cool. They're blue NGK wires, kind of high performance-y. So I went ahead and ordered those for like an extra 10 bucks as opposed to like normal standard replacement wires. And then some spark plugs to go along with the wires. And let's see, what else did I get? These I didn't get, but I actually already had these. This box.
What's in the box?
What's in the box? Well, let me get next. So, the last couple project cars I had were old, rusty POSs. One of them was I think an '02 Subaru WRX wagon, and I had a Beetle. This wasn't for the Beetle, but when I had the WRX wagon, the fender flares were kind of cruddy, and rather than going through and fixing them and painting them, since it had wheels on it that were too big, I like to just rivet on some fender flares, and so I ordered 2 different sets with 4 different sizes, and these were the leftovers. So I think there's 2 sizes in here. There's like gnarly and not so gnarly. So this is like a, that's pretty gnarly. Oh, this is the 2 not so gnarly. So I have 2 different size fender flares, and I thought I could check it out and see if either one works. Funny, after I was thinking about that, I was actually looking at pictures of these, and there was one performance package that came on that car that added rear fender flares and not fronts. So it was from the factory, had just the rear arches with the flares on them. That's probably to fit some bigger tires back there, but mainly the reason I want to do it is because on one side there was a major repair to the fender arch, and they did a really bad job painting it, so it's all faded and looks it looks okay, but the paint doesn't match at all, and I don't really want to mess with paint so much. So I was gonna see if maybe I can just put this over the fender, give it a cool look, and cover up that damage at the same time. And oh, I have one more thing. These are the factory seats out of that car, and if you saw the last episode with it, you'll remember that the T-top was smashed and so much water must have gotten in because these seats are annihilated, like totaled. Look at this. It is just garbage. So for about $200, I think you can get new covers to fix these, but for 200 bucks, you can also get just cheap bucket seats. So rather than getting the seat covers and having to like wrestle them onto these, if you've done that before, you know how terrible it is, and if you haven't, I'll tell you, it's terrible. So rather than putting a bunch of time into these old cruddy seats that would need a lot more than just covers probably, I opted to just replace them. I am going to hold on to these because they are amazing and I will fix them eventually. And if they don't go back in a car someday, then they will end up as office chairs. So I'll show you the seats I picked up. So at this point I have more racing seats than I have cars to put them in. I've been kind of collecting these things. Not really. So I have a Recaro out of an Evo 8. I've had it for like 10 years. Every time I put it in a car, when I sell it, I put the stock seat back in and I keep the Recaro. And it's hilarious because it's a passenger seat from an Evo 8, but it's still like my favorite seat of all time. So I have that one stashed away, but usually I keep it for like goofy projects that don't have any business with a seat like that. Like the last car it was in was a 94 Suburban. But anyway, so I have that. I have two seats, one reclinable and one fixed back for the Corvette. And I bought this set because the price was right on eBay. Now obviously they're cheap Chinese seats, but oh my god are they pretty. Let's see. This one I already opened. Got some vinyl red seats for the 300ZX. Thought they'd look cool in there. They have the right dimensions. They're going to fit in there really well. I'm going to have to fabricate some brackets for the sliders. But the only thing wrong is they're a little tight in the shoulders, so I'm going to have to see if maybe I can adjust them a little bit. But other than that, for the price $250 shipped, to have two seats like that, as opposed to even messing with those old nasty seats, yes, please. So that's pretty much all I bought for this car so far. And now that I'm going through it, it doesn't seem like a lot, but when I was shopping for it all, it seemed like, oh yeah, let's get everything. Let's get everything. So now we're going to spend the next couple days putting all this junk in the car. So first things first, we have to take the cover off, and then we can put the T-tops on, which will seal it. We can even put a license plate on it if we wanted to, but before that, I think we'll actually get it running, put a fuel pump on it. The bolts for the drive shaft are still loose because I didn't crawl under there and really want to fight them. I put them on so I could put the car in park, but they're still loose. So I have to get under there, jack it up, tighten those bolts up, and with that and the fuel pump, this thing should run and drive. Then the brakes are all crusty, so I'll probably want to tackle those. And then before I can drive it, it's gonna need seats, so I'm gonna have to put these seats in. So it's kind of like, you might as well just do everything and then go for a glorious test drive. So that's the plan. We'll see how much of this we get done in one go, but the next couple days should be pretty easy to focus on that thing and get some stuff done. That only took 6 tries to get one shot. So, literally the morning after I bought this car, I woke up to a thunderstorm. And I had to wake up, run outside, and put a cardboard box on the roof with the spare tire holding it down to keep the water out of it. Since then, I put it in the driveway, and I used this top of a Tupperware bin to just give it some support, and then a garbage bag duct tape to the roof. That kept the water out through a couple actually pretty gnarly storms. But now that I got those new T-tops, I can easily just drop that T-top on, and we're back in business.
I
broke the little knob off it. It's nothing serious, but it is annoying.
Yeah.
So there's like a little safety tab for the T-tops. I guess it's like a little lever and you like lever it out of the way, but it must be missing a piece because it don't work right. Ooh, yeah, I can just finagle it off. We don't need that where we're going. There we go. T-top back on. I actually bought a pair of matching ones, but I think they're identical to the one I have, so I don't even have to change the left one. I'll just have a spare. Probably sell that and pay for the whole car. I got the new T-top on. I even threw the license plate on, and this is what I'm talking about. Come with me. So, I go to check out the fuel pump. That's the thing I want to get done today. I go to lift the hatch up, and it don't stay open because the struts come on that side, and this one's blown. So I would like to go from this as the trunk support to this. So we're gonna put the new struts on next. So on this strut, one of the bolts broke off, and I was bummed about that because I knew it was gonna take some extra effort, but the new ones came with balls on them. And I was thinking like, oh, that's awesome, and they usually don't, in my opinion, come with these. But I just learned why. This old one, I don't think these are designed to come off. They don't have that little clip on the back. So you actually have to unbolt them. So I am gonna have to potentially break out the welder and zap that off. I can try that vice grip method if you've seen it in my video on the exhaust manifold bolts on that LS engine. A little torch, warm it up, grab it with the vice grips. I got a little meat here to grab, and see if that'll get it out. Sweet! I am genuinely not sure how to get that other one out. Time for some Googling. So, classic old car. I went to go and do a really simple project before doing the harder project, and that was putting these new hatch struts on. And I learned a couple things. One, the ones that come out of the body come out really easy. It's just wrench, they come right off. That's not the problem. The problem is this is a 85 Nissan 300ZX. In 86, they decided, hey, we've been putting studs in these hatch bolts. Maybe we should thread them and make them removable. And they're like, good idea. Too bad we didn't think of that before. So these little balls are part of the hatch. and unaccessible without probably removing the rear glass. So the other side I'm probably gonna have to cut off flush, and I'll probably take one of the new ones, which I have one right here, and I'll probably end up cutting the threads off of it and then just welding that new ball in place over the old one. But on this side, I'm gonna try to salvage it. And so what I saw was you take probably a cutoff wheel, I'm gonna use a cutoff wheel, and you cut the outside of this and then you just break it off and the ball remains intact. So we're gonna try and do the easy side and then we'll tackle the hard side. I pretty much slice that thing all the way around, and with the screwdriver I should be able to just pop the top of it off. Boom. Look at that. Now I don't have to mess with that ball. Got our new strut. Just a matter of popping it on. Watch out for that wood. Boom. One is almost strong enough to hold it up by itself. Almost. Where's my wood?
Do you need me to go on the other side?
Just looking. Sometimes I'm working, but this is it. I have two fingers working. Not very fun to watch.
Yeah.
So instead you get to look at my face. And I'm just So, now's where I get to make the hard choice. How am I going to handle this? Well, someone already made that decision for me when they broke the original ball off. So, now that I know, I actually was trying to twist that out thinking, oh, that's a threaded stud, because they all look like this. I've never seen a manufacturer just like press one into place or something. I have no idea how that's in there. But it ain't threaded, because that's just not how they made them. So, like I was thinking before, I think what I'm going to do is cut the threads off of this one, cut that flush. I'll take my welder, and I'm not going to weld real hard on it. I'm just going to give it a couple tacks all the way around, enough where I'm not going to put so much heat into the hatch here and potentially mess with the glass or the glue or whatever. But give it enough of a bite so that this little ball won't break off and my hatch will hold itself open again. My name's Joel, welcome to WTF Performance. In this episode, I show you how to change the trunk struts on your Nissan 300ZX. It's just 2 easy bolts, and then you gotta cut them in half, and then you gotta cut the stud off that doesn't come out of the hatch, and then you take your welder and just zap it on real quick. And it's just that easy. Should take you only a couple hours. We're trying to film an episode, and we're waiting for this dog to stop barking.
How long has it been?
Hold on, he's not done yet. Just let him get these barks out.
Okay.
You just gotta cut it. like 300 barks, and then he'll stop.
Just when you think he's done.
That dog's not going to stop barking anytime soon, so in the spirit of me using old stuff instead of new stuff, even though I have the new stuff, I could take destroying the new ball. So I went ahead and chopped the old one out of one of the old struts. I cut the stud off of it, ground the sides down, and we should be able to just weld that right in the right spot. Do you want a new dog? Because I'm about to go kidnap one. It looks like my weld's got a decent bite. I'm just gonna take my grinder and clean up the little spittle spattle. Alright, the weld turned out pretty good. I hit it with a little red paint and now it looks really bad, so I'm gonna have to go back later and clean up this whole hatch. But the hatch isn't even the same color as the car, so I think I'm going to go back and paint this whole thing black anyway. But, snap that one on. Should have snapped the other one on first. Where's my ladder? Snap that side on. Watch out for that wood. Snap that on. Bam. We got ourselves a hatch that isn't out to kill you. Fantastic. So, easy 10-minute project done in an hour.
I don't know about you, babe, but I kind of like the excitement of not knowing if my trunk is gonna kill me.
I don't think you ever owned a car that the trunk was trying to kill you.
No.
I think almost every car I've ever owned, the trunk is trying to kill you.
Yeah.
That's why I've learned this lesson, and that's why I spend the damn $20. I used to be the guy that would pull like a 2x4 out of his trunk at a car show and like prop the hood up with it and shit. So one of the things I knew before I was working on this fuel pump, the guy I bought it from told me that he was testing stuff on it, and he tested the ground, and he told me he clipped the ground wire to the fuel pump and gave it a known good ground. And so that was me just soldering that wire back together. That way it's all back as it should be. So, little solder and a little tape, and then swap that fuel pump now. Should be good to go, should fire right up. One thing before I fire it up though, I'm going to change the fuel filter up front and make sure that fuel line up front looks nice. It looks pretty old, so maybe I'll just replace it while I'm at it, because I'll never end up wanting to touch it again. So, as usual, when you start a project, the day gets away from you. I did manage to obviously get the trunk struts on. The fuel pump, I fixed one of the wires for. The The prior owner took off that plate that covers the fuel pump. He was actually dropping the tank, so I have to see why was he dropping the tank if you have an access panel for the fuel pump in the trunk. I'm not quite sure, so that I'll probably figure out when I pick this up tomorrow. I just didn't want to open the fuel system and then have the fuel system open all night, making the interior smell like gas. So rather than starting the fuel pump today and finishing it tomorrow, I just went ahead and cleaned up a couple things, and I'm all prepped, so tomorrow I can just start working on the fuel pump and finish it. But in the meantime, I did also knock out the hood struts too. Oh, these were a little trickier. They had these brackets they had to transfer over that were held on with like rivets. So I just cut the rivets off. I put a nut and a bolt through, and what I should have used is a jam bolt so it wouldn't back off. But I didn't have any, so I just went ahead and tack welded it so it's permanent. And then, yeah, the bottom was just a simple screw, and I did that on both sides, and now no more death hood trying to kill you either. So that's done. And with the T-tops back on, I just checked the locks, and now I can lock the car and have it secure and leave the cover off. So we're good to let this thing sit overnight. No problem now. So I'm gonna go ahead and fold up that car cover and call it a day. Pick this up again tomorrow. So it's the next day. We're gonna knock out this fuel pump, and I did research just for a second on like if this access panel that's open is the fuel pump, and it turns out it's just the fuel sender, it looks like, for the fuel level, and then off to one side or the other is the fuel pump. So we are gonna have to drop the tank out the bottom, and it is a little bit involved because you got to take the fuel filler neck off and all that stuff, and hopefully we don't break too much stuff. You know, might end up doing that filler neck if it's rusted out, or sometimes the rubbers are just, you know, so dry rotted they just fall apart. So that's what we're doing today. I just got to figure out how am I going to do that on our dirt gravel driveway. Alright, so we're in the garage now. I broke down and dragged the car in, and I had to completely just reorganize and just throw everything on top of the Corvette to make room. But only because if I get that fuel pump fixed, then the car runs and drives, and I can move it around at will. So where it was in the driveway is we have like a mud, gravel, and walnut driveway, and it was just going to be too terrible to lay under there and try to drop the tank, and you can't jack it up or anything, and it's on an angle down the driveway, and it was just too sketchy and just not very fun. So with the car in the garage though, I can actually jack it up, put some jack stands under it, and work underneath of it more comfortably. And one of the new tires was also leaking, so while I have the back end up, I can go ahead and use my wheel and tire machines to check it out. And it probably, when they put those tires on, they did a rush job for me, so it's probably leaking around the rim, like maybe they didn't clean it off. So maybe it's just as simple as that, and throw the tire back on, rebalance it, we're good to go. But I'm gonna see if I can get that tank down today. It looks really rusty under there though, so it's gonna take a little finagling. So this exhaust system is pretty much rusted out. Someone even stole the catalytic converter out of this car at some point, so I'm just gonna cut it off. We don't need this where we're going. thing was beyond salvaging.
Woo.
Not to mention, it probably sounded like crap anyway. Alright, pro tip. For this car specifically, I was wondering how to get the filler neck out of the car, and it's got this plastic piece. It's kind of like a big nut if you look, and it has indentations in it. And I saw someone make like a custom tool that fits in there, and then you can grab it and twist it, and that's all fine and dandy, but you can do the same thing with a pair of channel locks. You just open them all the way up. I grabbed them with a vice grip, and you can kind of just get it right into that piece, get a bite on it, and then twist it. And it's that easy. I got the two straps undone. I've got the filler neck loose. There's those brackets that the filler neck is like bolted around, and it should be ready to fall out. The only thing I haven't undone now is the actual rubber fuel lines. Usually I would cut those off and replace them because they're going to be so brittle they're going to break anyway. So I'll see how it comes down, and then I'll probably look to see where each one goes, because I think there's you know, feed, return, and vapor line, and then I'll just clip them and I'll replace them once we're putting this thing back together. See if this tank falls down. Oh yeah, she's coming. Alright, I'm just going to clip those fuel lines. There's 4, because one of them is a feedback, or a vent for the filler neck. I haven't worked underneath of a car in a while.
Fun, huh?
Especially when they're nice and rusty and you have to wear safety glasses, and then that means you can't see anything. Alright, I got the vapor line for the fuel filling neck off. I've got the feed and the return line off. And now the last one is the vent line for the actual purge valve, or vent valve. If I can just finagle it off, then it'd be real easy to figure out how long of hoses I need. They don't teach you this stuff in auto school. Woo! Last one. This thing should just fall off now. Just gotta make sure it balances. In fact, camera lady, can you lower this jack for me?
Yes.
That tank's Ah, it's out. It's super dirty. I just had like a revelation of I've always worked on cars since I was 16, 15 even. I don't know. But working on cars, it's, you know, hard. It's a struggle, especially old junk cars like this. It's not so hard that you can't do it, but I'll tell you what is hard. Doing it gracefully on camera. That's hard. So all the guys that make these projects look easy, they're making them look easy, and that's a skill. Because it's hard to make it look easy. Not that I really try to do it. I cut out when I struggle. Maybe I'll start leaving that in the outtakes when I'm like cussing a bolt out like crazy, because that definitely happens on every project. But yeah, it's just a little revelation in my head. I'm like, man, it's so hard to make this look good. Because it's not good. Ugh, can't even touch my face right now. But I am happy this filler neck is not leaking. All these fuel lines will be really easy to just replace and put some fresh clamps. I might even hose this thing off before I take this off, keep all the dirt from going in the tank. So I'll actually clean this up. And after that, it should just be a matter of pulling this assembly out, putting the new fuel pump on it, put it back in. I'll get rid of the nasty varnish gasoline in the tank. I'll put some fresh gas in it, and we'll be well on our way to putting this thing back together. I got this tank cleaned up, and you should see how terrible the fuel that's coming out of this thing is. I hope there's not much more than this, but oh, it's so nasty. I wonder when the last time this thing drove was. It didn't have a license plate, but it had to have been years it's been sitting. I'm gonna drain the rest of this, and I'll have to figure out a way to get rid of it. I think you can pay to have someone take it away, and that's really the only way. Other than that, putting it through a crappy lawnmower or something, mixing it with some fresh gas, I guess. If anyone knows a good way to get rid of old gas in Illinois, let me know. Fuel pump is ready to go back in. I ended up sandblasting all that nasty rust. The tank's kind of rusty. It's got this nice screen on the bottom, so I'm hoping that'll filter out most of the gunk that's in the tank, because I really don't want to clean this thing. Good enough. Now that the fuel pump's back in the tank, probably gonna take a ride to O'Reilly in the morning, pick up some fresh fuel line and some hose clamps, and put this thing back together. And we'll see if this is enough to get this thing fired up. And then I got a whole bunch more work to do, but at least it'll be running after that. I've been dawdling too much. This project needs to get going. So, the other day, I went ahead and POR 15'd the rusty filler neck because it was looking pretty rough, and I bet those are hard to get nowadays. I went ahead and did the surface rust on the fuel tank too, and I got all new fuel lines, so we're gonna throw this thing together, and I'm gonna stop talking. Before I go under the car and get all dirty, I figured I'd throw a fresh fuel filter up here up front and replace the fuel line. I'm not gonna hook it up right away because there's still old fuel in the line. So first I'll get the pump installed. I'll leave this all disconnected. I can bleed it into a bucket till it runs clean, and then I'll hook up the fuel filter and we'll be good to go.
Is that your favorite?
Someone put up my favorite dog outside so I get to hear it bark for 6 hours.
What smells like gas?
I don't know, maybe it's gas. I could go lower. Alright, fuel tank is bolted up, filler neck is bolted back up, And all that's left is to connect all the lines. I might have to shorten them a little bit, but should just be easy to connect the feed, the return, and the vapor lines. And we'll be good to put the battery back in and see if it works. That's some of the beehives I've found in the car. I've found a ton more under the headlights, which I'll get out when we're detailing it. But it must have been, this car must have been like owned by bees for a while, because there are so many of those hives. Today's the day. It's time for the harvest. 300Z honeycomb.
Brought to you by the ZBs.
These happen naturally in nature. All you have to do is park your dead 300ZX and leave it alone. And then you take your tool and you just... Oh no, I missed it. See, you gotta be careful. Got your...
What?
I cannot get this one out. It's like too big for the hole.
That's what she said.
That's what she said. I gotta get a grip on it. I gotta get a grip. There you go.
Wow, that's a big one.
And these are good to eat. Just kidding. But there is more.
No.
Oh.
Okay.
All right. Move on to the other headlight. Ooh, yeah, there's a good harvest on this side. This one. Collect that. Oh yeah. Let's see. Get this one right here.
Oh my gosh, another huge one. What?
Nope, not done yet. There you go.
Oh my.
So, pretty good harvest this season.
You're forgetting the wasp.
Oh yeah, wait, yeah, you're right. There's one of the bumps that was an old like wasp nest. Oh, that's crazy. It's got like the stamp on the bottom.
Oh my gosh. Do wasps make honey?
No. Wasps are useless assholes. They don't contribute anything to nature.
I bet you they make something delicious.
You're thinking of hornets.
Yeah.
We'll go ahead and pop an H on this bad boy for hornets.
What? That is absolutely insane.
Alright, I got that fuel tank installed. I went ahead and put the wheel back on. I'm going to go underneath and I'm just going to tighten up those drive shaft bolts, and then we should set this thing on the ground, put some gas in it, and we'll blow the lines out with fresh fuel and see if it fires up. Alright, so got the drive shaft bolts back in, car's back on the ground, and I haven't finished hooking up that fuel filter, so now we can click this over. I put this line on temporarily, And we should see some nasty fuel spray out of there. And once it comes out clear, we know that we flushed the line out and we can go ahead and hook that fuel filter back up and not clog it, hopefully. One thing we gotta do before that I almost forgot is we have to put some fuel in it. So let's put some gas in it. Gotta make sure this is gas. Woo! That is gasoline, baby! That is some gasoline. That's the second Sunny reference we've used in this video.
I know, right?
Oh, that ain't gonna work. And I'm gonna get a funnel. About 2.5 gallons, I think, in this jug, maybe 2. Hopefully that's enough to get some fuel by the pickup and run the system.
Okay. Whoa!
Well, I don't know if there's enough fuel in the tank to get up to the pickup, but I don't want to run that pump dry, so I'm gonna grab some more fuel and dump it in and see if that helps. It sounded like it picked some up and it got actually primed, but like I said, I just don't want to risk damaging that pump. Running pumps dry is like the worst thing you could do for them. I'll be right back with some more fuel. Hey! Stop it. Sit down. I'll be right back. I said stay! I said stop it! Don't go anywhere. We put another 2 gallons of gas in it, so that's got 4 gallons now. There's no way that pickup isn't getting fuel. It makes me feel more comfortable that we can cycle that key again. It's weird. Most cars, when you cycle it off and on, it'll prime the pump every time. This one primes once, and then it'll only keep priming once the key is turned to start. But I'm not trying to start it, I'm just trying to get the fuel through the system. So I'm gonna leave the key in the on position, and I'm actually gonna disconnect the battery and reconnect it. That way I can actually watch the fuel, and it'll keep priming without trying to start the engine and just wasting battery. Okay, so we're in the on position. There we go. That looked like some nice clean fuel, I think. So we got that nasty stuff out of the system. Now I can hook up the fuel filter and actually try to start it. It won't run because when I was trying to get it in the garage, I actually cut the boot off to get some starter fluid in there so I can actually start the engine and drive it. But I didn't do it on purpose. It was so old. Actually, I have it right here. It was so old that when I tried to take it off, it just ripped. It's like, look at that. So I ordered a new one. It'll be here in a couple days, but it should still start. It'll just not run right because I don't know if this car has a MAF sensor or if it has one of those old air meters like the Mazda's used. But either way, whatever it has, it's not gonna get a good reading. So it'll probably start and then run like pig rich or something because it has no signal. But like I said, it'll still prove that the fuel pump works now and it has fuel pressure and it should start and run. I primed the fuel pump, hooked the fuel filter back up, I primed it again. I should be able to turn that key and we're gonna hear this thing fire up for the first time under its own fuel system.
Oh no!
I think this car, if you've seen the last episode, which is the first episode with this car, you would know that this thing's been wired for subs, speakers. It's had probably other horrible accessories because there are 3 new wires jammed onto this battery terminal, and I think that's making it super janky. It's doing that thing where you get like a one solid click and then no power, which is a bad connection of the battery. I just don't know if it's here or down there or somewhere else. Let's see. It wants to fire, but again, I don't know how well it's gonna run without anything attached. Okay, it started. It now runs on its own fuel system. It won't really let me rev it at all. I think that's because like the intake isn't hooked up 0% because that intake boot's missing off the throttle body. So we're expecting that later this week. So if you want to see the next video, make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you then. I finally replaced the smell in my garage from old, disgusting fuel to terrible exhaust fumes.
These are good outtakes, though.
That makes me so sad. Okay, it's the next day. I need to say this better.